Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Thursday office hour. Just a reminder, normally this would be the last office hour of the week, but because I was not able to host an office hour on Monday, I will be hosting an office hour tomorrow. So if you have more questions after today, make sure to come back tomorrow. Okay, so as usual, if you have questions for me watching the video, please share those in the live chat. Otherwise, I will be answering questions on the message board. So these, I've just opened all the new questions, and then if we get through these, I can try and get to the older questions. You will receive certificates if you complete the course roughly 1 to 2 weeks after course completion. Just a note. I know that not everyone thinks about this or feels this way, but writing in all caps is generally not regarded as very polite. The common interpretation of all caps is as if you were yelling. And when I see them, it makes it feel like you're yelling at me. Okay, so let's see here. Someone calculating z-score for script anomalies. That's the opioids question. I guess I'll answer these questions point by point. So in the instructions of the question will tell you which fields to use. If the instructions do not say use act cost or use quantity or use items in some specific way, then you're not supposed to use those fields. And chances are whatever quantity you are interested in is simply a count of prescriptions. when you see things like prescription rate or number of prescriptions, you should be counting prescriptions. Is the practice's number of prescriptions a sum over the items they prescribed or over individual rows? Likewise, for n, nowhere do the instructions refer to item amounts, only to prescription rates. This ties to the questions above and how the proportion of opioids is calculated when providing the answer. So yeah, all of these questions, all of your questions essentially boil down to whether we make use of items in any way. We do not. The instructions do not reference items whatsoever. For any quantity in this question. Providing the answer to the grader, the number of scripts by practice name faces a similar question. No, it doesn't. It says number of scripts. Is this a sum of the unique BNF row by practice? Or is sum of items quantity? So the number of rows with a particular practice code, that means that practice issued that many scripts. That's what number of scripts means. It's very simple. Make sure to read the instructions carefully and not add more complication than what is written. So as described elsewhere on this message board, if you search diamorphine or dimorphine, because I don't know what it's actually called, or just morphine, as answered in this previous question, drugs whose name contain any of these strings in the opioids list we provide you are opioids. That means diamorphine is an opioid. Your pattern matching looks reasonable, though I have not used that exact code myself. So I can't confirm whether it works 100%. I do not see any obvious problems with it. Okay, none is not of type array. Your function needs to return a value. You should test your functions to make sure they work as you expect. For instance, what happens when you run mult 258? For your function definition, you wouldn't get back anything. This is clearly a problem. You should update your function so that it returns mult number. Simple as that. Generally, it is a good habit when encountering error messages, test your functions with some simple test case. Make sure the answer you get is reasonable and matches your expectations. So a lot of people have caused themselves problems for the script anomalies question by performing a join, which is not something we actually have to do for this question. Their z-score calculation goes like, let's see. We calculate the mean for each practice overall. Okay, they divide by, yep, this all seems reasonable. That seems reasonable. That also seems reasonable. Your z-score calculation seems fine. However, it is likely that you are causing yourself problems by performing a join rather than simply extracting a list of opioids from chem and using that list to flag prescriptions in scripts. As described in this answer to a previous question. This is old. Worth noting that 0.96 is a very good score, and your time is probably better spent answering other questions rather than improving 0.96 to 1.0. Keep in mind that you must complete all questions for a certificate. And only need an average score greater than 0.9 for honors. If you spend a lot of time trying to improve 0.96 to 1.0 and end up not completing all the questions, you will get no certificate. Make sure to keep your attention focused on solving all the problems reasonably well, rather than trying to perfect particular problems that you've already solved close enough. This is good advice for the workplace as well. I've said that several times throughout the office hours. This is like a problem called premature optimization. Basically, it boils down to if it's not broken, don't fix it. 0.96 is like a very good score. So it's better, it's going to be worth more to you. You're going to get more value out of working on something else than trying to perfect every little detail. So someone is not able to open their PW Mini project notebook. So inspecting your server, I see your PW Mini project notebook is 58 megabytes. In contrast, if you look at almost any other notebook on your server, they are only, you know, tens to hundreds of kilobytes. This means that your PW Mini project notebook is huge, much bigger than it should be, and so big that Jupyter is unable to open it. My guess is that you ran some code that printed out a huge output to the notebook, and now it can't be opened. Fixing this is not easy. Yeah. And I'm sorry to say that most likely any work you'd completed in the notebook is going to be difficult to recover. recovering a notebook that is filled with printed content is described in this previous answer to an identical question. Since doing this is somewhat tricky, I've uploaded a clean copy of the PW Mini project for you to work with. But unfortunately, it will not contain any of your existing work. Please be sure not to make the same mistake again, and limit the amount of text you print out to screen. E.g., don't print scripts. That's a very bad idea. Do not do that. Okay, so we've got to upload this. This question is a duplicate of that other one I linked to, so I'm closing that question. Okay, getting a 0.8 score after returning the required. Okay. So first of all, will be much easier to interpret and fix your code if you give your variables descriptive names. M, N, Y, C, Z are insufficient. It's extremely difficult to know how I should be interpreting these things. For X and F, F is a list of the first 100 postcodes. For example, you have a comment here. Why not just call F something like postcodes 100? Okay, so this is a list of postcodes. So X is a postcode. C equals 0. We're setting that every time we iterate over each postcode. For Y and FJ, FJ is a dictionary of lists of BNF names. is a dictionary of lists of BNF names for each postcode. Okay, so for BNF name is going to be Y. Temp is 0. For Z in groups Y, groups is a dictionary of prescriptions sorted BNF name wise. Groups is a dictionary of prescriptions sorted BNF name wise. Okay. Secondly, if you have several nested for loops, say more than 2, you are probably doing something very inefficient that could be better accomplished by either choosing to structure your data in a different way or perform your task in a more direct way. Thirdly, you have a comment. Groups is a dictionary of prescriptions sorted BNF name wise. But dictionaries are unordered. So this is not possible. If Z postcode is equal to X, temp plus equals Z items. So what are we trying to accomplish here? We're trying to get an item total for a postcode. Y is a BNF name, so I truly don't understand what's going on here. By sorted, do they mean keyed? By sorted, do you actually mean keyed? I.e., the keys are BNF names? Assuming so, then this is a dictionary where the keys are BNF names and the values are lists of prescriptions. Whenever a prescription has the right postcode, we add the items to temp. We can cut way down on the logical redundancy of picking out a postcode, then picking out a BNF name, then checking whether the prescription with that BNF name has the right postcode by simply constructing a dictionary of prescriptions keyed by BNF name and postcode both from the beginning. Something like grouped equals script host code script BNF name script or script in scripts joined or whatever. Then we can simply iterate over this object once, aggregating the items field of each. Oh yeah, so this doesn't quite work, but it's pretty close. Done. Yeah, this is super confusing. And there's a much better way to structure this logically. First of all, so someone is having some trouble with their group by field function they're trying to define. And part of their troubles is they are having difficulty with appending values to their group because they've made their value a tuple. If groups key not in groups, it equals this. Otherwise, we can append. Secondly, we want to think about what structure our values should have. If we are, if our group's values consists of multiple fields, then our dictionary values should be something like a list of lists, or better yet, a list of dictionaries. Keyed by the field names. Um, so this will have the effect of making our end result look something like, oh, but okay, so, however, you've interpreted the meaning of fields opposite from what was intended by the question. The question was was intending for you to use fields to perform the grouping, not as fields to extract from the data. Notice you've hard-coded postcode as the field which is responsible for constructing the groups, i.e., it's the key of the dictionary. It's the source of the keys. Instead, we should be able to group by any combination of fields. Weird. Anyway, let's see here. VC exercise 3 type error. 0.21A2. Um, cool. Looks like that's answered. Here, I'm not really sure what this is asking about, but clearly this code is maybe misunderstanding the intention in the question. Total items by BNF post. Should be a dictionary similar to what you constructed in questions 2 and 3, where we've grouped the descriptions from scripts according to their BNF name and postal code. It should not be a simple list of BNF name and postal code pairs, since there is no way to then subsequently calculate the and then summed up the items in each group of prescriptions. It's simple to see why the assertion fails. We should have, according to the description of total items by BNF post that I just gave, we should have one entry for each unique combination of BNF name and postal code appearing in our data. However, your approach will add an item element to your list for each prescription. So it will have the same length as joined. You should re-evaluate your approach, thinking of this question as an extension of questions 2 and 3 to a more difficult problem. However, they all share a similar set of techniques. Most likely difference I can see between these is that is prime fast will return false for 0, while is prime will return true. Okay, that's all the new questions, and that brings us to the end of our office hour. So I'm going to stop here. There will be an office hour tomorrow. It's on the video link schedule. And I'll hopefully see you there. And I hope that you have a good rest of your day.